Welcome back to From the Burbs to the Tetons. This is another one of our miscellaneous rambling series. Talks about, we're going to go into the area of electronics and uninterruptible power supplies. I really think these are an important piece to add to your audio video equipment as well as your computers. When you do have power outages or dips or spikes or any dirty power, they can kick in and power your equipment. And a lot of times people go, well, I'll just reboot. Well, what if you're in the middle of a document and you hadn't saved it yet? I know there's autosave out there that helps and everything, but it's not a bad idea to think about using uninterruptible power supplies to protect your equipment. So when it comes to uninterruptible power supplies, basically UPS, which I'll call them going forward in the video here, there's two major things to look at. One, is it big enough to handle your equipment and run it as long as you want to? So for instance, a modern day monitor, flat screen monitor, powered by LEDs is going to run you about 100 watts. A laptop is going to run you about 100 watts. A full-fledged computer, depending on how much you have going on inside the computer, could be 200 to 500-600 watts. The higher-end video card that you have, the higher-end processor you have, the more hard drives you have, the more watts it's going to take. Now, I do have an energy consumption plug, and I've tried it on the computers, and it does not do a good job passing along the electricity in a pure sine wave. And I'm just assuming it's not doing it in a pure sine wave because the computers just go wonkers. And the second thing is whether or not it's doing a pure sine wave or a modified sine wave. And let me show you a graph of what I mean here. So this is what the two look like. And now let's look at the orange here that I've added to the graph. Now that's going to be more electricity. That's more electricity than it's expecting. Okay, now let's go ahead and take that away and add in this dark gray. Now this dark gray, it's not sending in enough electricity. So, back in the day, the electronics used to be extremely sensitive no matter what it was. And if the electricity wasn't pure, it really wreaked havoc with the capabilities. My brother and I, we were kind of audiophiles when we were younger, and this was a problem. We would run into times when we had to change plugs or outlets or unplug something else because it was dirtying up the electricity powering these, and you could hear it through the speakers. Everybody's heard a hum before in speakers. Well, most of us have that are older. And that's what it is. It's dirty electricity. It's not a clean sine wave. So one of the things you can do is look for a UPS that is, has sine wave or pure sine wave as part of its name. And what they're doing is they've put in additional electronics to make sure that when it's converting from DC power to AC power, it keeps that nice, good sine wave that the electronics is looking for. And you'll hear some people talk about this for like RVing when they're talking about generators on whether or not it puts out a pure sine wave or not, and that it can mess with their electronics sometimes. Same thing with whole house backup battery systems. Whatever inverter you have, you want one that does pure sine wave. Another thing I think that people don't realize is that you can change the batteries out. These batteries last 3 to 5 years usually. And just like any battery, the older it gets, the worse it gets. It's kind of like, you usually get like a fairly flat usage for a little while, and then it just starts, tailing off. Well, you can replace the batteries, and almost all the manufacturers sell battery replacements. Now, what I usually do, just because the electronics get old and beat up and worn out, I usually only change the battery twice. So that's basically 3 lifetimes. That's, 10 to 15 years lifespan for an uninterruptible power supply. So if you're only spending, like, say, $150, that's $10 a year. Well, I guess it's a little more. We add in the battery that you buy. But still, you're talking about maybe $20 a year for a UPS system to protect your favorite, electronics, your TV, if you have a nice setup audio-visual system, something just to consider. Now I'm going to go ahead and change out some batteries on some UPS systems I have that are ready to get new batteries. They're not holding their charge more than 10 or 15 seconds. And so here those videos are. All right, so why don't we go ahead and proceed with changing the battery on this power supply. So let's go ahead and unbox this. Oh, a couple of safety things, as you get started here. Notice I don't have any rings on. Usually what I like to do is from the elbows down, make sure I don't have anything metal on. Those are the instructions, which I have read online before I opened it. Here's the packing material. Okay, and then so here's the battery. Okay. Let's see. Put that to the side. Okay, and now this power supply has some screws on the bottom. We're going to go ahead and take those out and set them aside in a place where they won't roll away. And then I'm going to, well, that came off easy. Tip that over. Now this one has some hooks, 4 hooks. So basically what we've got is we've got some cables here going to the electronics. We've got these 4 hooks that slide into these 4 channels, and you slide it up, it locks, slide it down, it unlocks. And then so here's the battery. So what I'm going to do is turn this around. Well, the other thing is too, you want to make sure you do is unplug it. And I'm unplugged, so that's good. And then they all have this plastic tape kind of thing, so it's easy to pull out. And then you're going to have 2 cables, a red and a black. Now if you notice the red's on the red, there's a little black, red, black. So this is 2 batteries put together. Okay. So they're 2 batteries put together, taped together. And what I always like to do is kind of set them down side by side, make sure they're the same ones. And here you can see the model number on it from the manufacturer who made these, CP-S7-12. That's what these new ones are too. And there's 2 of them together. So it's the right battery. So what we'll go ahead and do, let's set it here so it's a little easier to, well, no, we're going to turn this around. Remember, black to black. There's the black. Slide that in there. Red to red. We'll go ahead and maybe we'll slide it in there. Okay, that seems to be in place. So we'll get it started there in here. Well, maybe we'll get it started. Yeah, be nice if we get it actually in the hole. I'm going to turn this up so I can see it a little bit better. Just kind of drop it in place. If you have to, you may have to pull this up a few times by the tape and jiggle it. Okay. Let's get that laying down. That in place. Slide it up. So the hooks are all locked. Everything's in place. Last thing we need to do is put the screws in place. Now, this isn't a lithium-ion battery, but I would highly recommend that you recycle it too. Some states it's the law, some counties it's the law, but it's just a good thing for the environment. Home Depot in this area is really good about taking any batteries, so I'll just drop that off the next time I run by there. And there you go. New battery. Now, this manufacturer recommends that you let it charge for 8 hours before you use it. I recommend that you do something like that with any battery, whether the manufacturer recommends it or not. This is my UPS I use for my servers. I've got 2 of them. At idle, they probably draw around 300 watts when they're doing something, or I'm using them for testing or something like that, which I haven't done in a long time. They probably draw around 600 watts, but normally when the power goes off, it'll tell me that it's got about 45 minutes of runtime. So this is a little bit different. There's actually a carriage or a cartridge that's holding the batteries, and there's 4 of them. And one of the interesting things is, you know, I'm taking off the back screw now, but on the front, unfortunately, the little stands that come with it are sitting there. But it's under a label. I cut that part of the video out. I don't think you needed to watch me do that for 5 minutes, which it took me about 5 minutes to figure that out. First thing I thought about at that point was, now I know why they don't want electrical boxes hidden behind drywall. So I looked at the battery that I should order, and on CyberPower website, and it actually listed the wrong battery. As you could see, those 2 batteries were taped together, and clearly in the carriage they're all separate, and they've got those little brackets there, so they wouldn't have gone in even if I wanted to. So Amazon gave me a refund. I reordered the proper ones. Now I'm just going through and methodically doing one pair, one set, and then doing the next set. Now this is only a 1500 watt UPS, but with 4 batteries it lasts a long time, and I think I mentioned earlier I get about 45 minutes of runtime out of it for the 2 servers I've got hooked up to it. Yeah, I've got to make sure that the wire's in the middle so when you lay it down it doesn't get crimped by the weight of the batteries. Every time you're doing these batteries, make sure you've seated them properly, because it's so easy for them to look like they're seated properly, and that's kind of what I'm going through here. I'm screwing around with it, can't get the top quite on, and it's because one of the batteries isn't quite seated properly. Now that it's seated properly, it'll go on real easy. So you slide the cartridge back into place. Now there's 4 screws that hold the cartridge in place, and because there's 4 batteries, you know, that sucker is really heavy, and I just couldn't wiggle it in place. So what'll happen is I'll go ahead and set it up on its back, just so it's easier to move the cartridge around and line up the holes. So once the screws are all in, I'll go ahead and pop on the cover, and then basically at this point it's let it charge overnight, turned off with nothing plugged into it. This is a rack mount system, and I plan on rack mounting it once we get to the workshop apartment. But for right now, I'm using the 2 stands that came with it, which are really convenient if you're not going to rack mount it. I hope you found that informative. If you're in the market for a UPS system, I would highly recommend the CyberPower. It's really well rated, it's got reasonable pricing, and I've had really good luck with them, and I've got 3 of them, and I've had them for 6 years now. I've included a link below to the 1000 because I think that's going to be the right one for most of you. That should go ahead and give you about 15 minutes for 200 watts plugged into it, which is about right for a laptop, a monitor, and then a Wi-Fi router. Now if you go up to the 1500, it's about $50 more right now as I'm making this video. It's going to double the time. So for 200 watts, you're going to get 30 minutes. 300 watts plugged into it, you'll get about 20 minutes. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And if you want to know when we upload a new video, go ahead and hit the bell button. You'll get notified.